Hi. All right. So I realized we're going to talk about the inflection of the verb aimer, to go, but I realized after we finished talking about the syntax of comparatives and superlatives that I forgotten something, which is the use of the adverbial accusative with comparatives and superlatives. So we talked about how you can say Socrates is wiser, and you can also say he's a little or much wiser. And you can do that with an adjective like much in the dative case, by much, if you want. But you can also do it with the accusative singular neuter is the standard form. Bolu that's nominative or accusative singular neuter. Functions in the same way. So you can say Socrates is much wiser, or you can say Socrates is much the wisest, using either Balo or Palu. So this is a syntax that you can use with comparatives or superlatives. The syntax is called adverbial accusative. Important thing. I forgot it. All right, so moving along, we want to talk about the verb aimer, not aimer, but aimer. Notice that the the first person singular of the present active indicative, aimer, has a circumflex over the EI. That's because it's a regular toned word. It means go, okay, and it's the same as Latin eo ire, if you know Latin. It's different from, it looks like the verb to be, but what's the difference between aimer, with the circumflex over the EI, and the first person singular of the verb to be? That's aimer. And the underlying root of the verb aimer, to be, is es. Sometimes it's os, and sometimes it's is. But the basic form is es. The basic root of the verb aimer, to go, is the iota, okay, that connotes movement, okay? So it's pretty, if you learn these forms reasonably well, you won't confuse any one of them. They're very different. Well, not very different, but they're different from the forms of the verb to be. So let's look at the present indicative in the first column that Belisi's written up so beautifully. Aimer, I go, a, second person singular. Can you see the epsilon? Yep. Then ace, that looks like the third person plural of the verb to be, but note the accent. It has a circumflex accent on the first syllable. And in the plural, you see the alternation which governs this inflection, an alternation between a root that's EI and a root that's just plain I. So in the plural, you have only the iota ending. So imen, ita, itase, we go, you go, they go. All right. If now we switch to the second column and look at the imperfect, it looks like an ungodly mess. The first form is a. How do you get that out of aimer? Well, the way you do is that the root is EI. When you augment it, okay, you get eta, iota subscript, when you augment EI, right? And then if you're going to have the ending be first person singular, you have two choices, okay, and the one of them results in alpha. That's the older one. It was originally a on, okay, but the on turned into an alpha because it became a syllabic n. In the case of a and, something else is going on, but let's not worry about it. So there's the first person singular of the present active indicative of the verb to go. Then we get the second person singular, which is there's an eta there, and EIS theta alpha, and that's translated aestha. You. Are you going? Okay. And lastly, in the third person singular, you've got the augmented epsilon iota, gives you the eta with an iota subscript, and then just the ending It's okay, Belisi, we'll get there.
Sorry.
Okay. And the plural is much more straightforward. Amen, eta, aesan. That's the third person plural ending you expect. You've got the thematized one with the epsilon aeson, like aes, and so forth. All right?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. In the next column, Belisi's written the first person singular of the subjunctive and the first person singular of the optative, and the infinitive. And you can see that the stem in all of these forms is just iota. So it goes I o, I es, I a, I omen, I ota, I eta, I osu rather, and the optative is going to be I oime, I ois, I oi, I oimen, I oita, I oyen, or yang, the iota eta optative you could have as well. But so the root iota is the one that's really the essential, has the essential minimal amount of this root verb to go. But that's the way it works. Okay.
This is the infinitive in the bottom corner.
Yep, that's your infinitive. The nigh infinitive. Yes. You've got I as the root. The is making it thematic. Okay, which is what's happening to thematic verbs here and there. All right.
Okay.
All right. Great.